Hello, hello everyone. It's me, Arden Lee. I am back with another video today, and in today's video, I want to talk about how we form beliefs in the first place, right? If so much of this work that I do, that we do together, is about reforming our beliefs, reprogramming, rewiring our beliefs in order to be able to consciously choose the beliefs that are going to get the best results for us, then we need to understand how those beliefs are formed in the first place and how we can start to take conscious control of that. So one of the things that I learned over the course of my studying this kind of field, specifically looking into neuro-linguistic programming, which I got my certification in a number of years back, I learned that there are 4 ways that beliefs can form, and we can start to take charge of at least a couple of them and start to do work that allows us to choose the beliefs that are going to lead to healthy relationships, fulfilling work situations, and a happier and more successful, more fulfilling life in general. So I'm going to get into those 4 ways. Of course, if you have not done so already, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel. So if you're into this kind of jam, if you're into talking about how your beliefs form, what changes you can make to your life, to your mindset, what reframes you can offer yourself as you are looking consciously at the way that you're viewing the world, what kind of changes in those regards can you make in order to bring your life to that next level, to whatever next level of success you're looking to manifest and bring in. So if that sounds like your jam, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like my videos, like me for validation, and of course, oh hi Virgil, and also Virgil really likes it when you subscribe to the channel, and you would definitely not want to hurt his feelings, right, Virg? This is my assistant. So definitely go ahead and do those things, and let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Let me know which videos are helping you out. Let me know what's the most helpful for you. All right. Do you want to sit here while I make this video? We're talking about how beliefs get formed today. All right. So there are 4 ways, according to what I learned, according to what I understand. There are 4 different ways that beliefs can get formed for us. The first one is trauma. So that's probably a pretty obvious one, and it's probably one that we don't necessarily want to replicate. I'll get back to unpacking all these in a bit as soon as I list them, but the first one is trauma. The second one is repetition. When we repeat something over and over again, it starts to form in our minds. We start to form a mental groove that way. Another one is our social circles. The people around us and the beliefs that they have and the ways and patterns in which they act also affect the ways that we act, because as human animals, we are wired, we are geared for social, I was almost going to say social conformity. That sounds kind of bad, but we are wired for social connection, and in many ways that means that we want to belong. We want to belong to a group. So it's really helpful for us if we are able to assimilate the beliefs of those around us. Obviously it's only helpful if those are good beliefs, and but it's helpful to our organism, to the way that we're wired, to take on the beliefs of those around us, regardless of whether those beliefs are actually good for us or not, so that we can look at how to control that, how to bring that more into conscious awareness. And finally, the last way that we form beliefs is actually through hypnosis, through bypassing our critical factor with specifically designed trance exercises that you can do either on your own or you can do with the help of a facilitator. And I'm also going to put meditation in that as well, because self-hypnosis is very, in many ways, it's not too different from guided meditation. So I'll get to that when I start unpacking all of them. But all right, so let's go back and let's do that now. Let's start to unpack all of those that I've just talked about. So the first one is trauma. So when trauma happens to you, you experience that shock in the moment in so many ways. Even if you manage to stay present, there is that moment where fear, oh gosh, I wish I had looked up exactly what this is, but I want to say it's the hippocampus that is related to our memory, and our amygdala that is related to our sense of safety. So specifically when we feel fear, when we feel that sense of like, oh my gosh, I feel spooked, I feel frightened, our hippocampus wants us to remember those things so we can prevent them for the future. So our hippocampus like squirts this memory juice. I'm explaining this in like a really metaphorical, really non-scientific way, you guys. So this is essentially the mechanics of what happens. But I'm sure someone who is a biologist would be able to explain it a lot better than just you have a gland that squirts memory juice when you get scared. But essentially that is what happens. So you start to imprint those things, those beliefs. This is why, especially people who experience trauma, even if they repress those memories, they often, when they resurface, they really have very vivid details many times of like certain things like the clock on the wall or, the pattern of the wallpaper or whatever. And they may not remember other things because they may also be dissociating at that time. But trauma certainly is a way that our beliefs are formed. And if you've been watching some of the other videos that I posted as well, you know that that our trauma imprints can actually impact the way that we see the world. And that's essentially about our beliefs, right? Our trauma means that we can look at what might be a perfectly safe situation and see a dangerous situation if that situation that looks safe or that actually is safe looks or resembles in any way a situation that we were traumatized by, right? So this is why you might have you might have someone who's been assaulted at a club who just all of a sudden becomes incredibly antisocial for the next several months because they don't want to go out again. Now you can become antisocial due to trauma anyway, just because it's a lot to process and your body is literally trying to heal itself, even if it's just emotional trauma. I don't even want to say just emotional trauma because emotional trauma can often be just as devastating as physical trauma. But certainly that imprint, that projection of looking at things and seeing danger because it resembles another situation that you've been in before, that's absolutely a way that trauma can imprint our beliefs. So trauma, out of the four, it's good to understand how our beliefs form with trauma, but naturally that's going to be one of the harder ones to actually use to rewire. You could certainly start to think and say, if events with big impacts are things that that change our beliefs, then what's something I could do that would be a really big impact for me, right? What's something I could do that would really change my beliefs around what I'm capable of. Now, it's possible that taking that leap and saying, like, I have a fear of public speaking, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to give a speech in an environment that I feel relatively safe in. So many of the coaches that I know who are business coaches are giving their students opportunities to be a public speaker in that container of coaching that's really safe. So they'll have like a group for coaching, and then they'll say like everyone has to give a presentation, and that way people get over their fear of public speaking by having that safe container. And so it's actually kind of like, it's like reversing that sort of that trauma, because you're having an experience that you specifically are designing to have a really good outcome of safety, so that you can imprint that belief that like, oh, actually this is safe, this is okay for me. Of course, unfortunately, because of the way that we're wired as animals, we're wired to notice much more when we feel unsafe. So in general, I kind of just try to understand trauma. I don't try to reprogram beliefs through trauma itself. I hope nobody does. But certainly setting up similar experiences where you can actually have odds of feeling safe can certainly be helpful for getting rid of those negative beliefs that you've had imposed and imprinted on you. So let's move on to the second one. So the second way that our beliefs are formed is through repetition. So this becomes really insidious when you start to think about it, because what's the first thing that they have us do when we go to school? They have us recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Every morning we stand and we put our hand over our hearts and we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, right? But over and over time, the things that we repeat to ourselves will absolutely start to have an effect on our unconscious. And they will start to be able to show up, just because even if you guys have seen some of the videos on this channel about using intentional language, that'll start to really bring that into focus some more. If this is something that you're interested in learning more about, looking at our intentional language, and also looking at ways of using affirmations. There's a couple videos on this channel about how to use affirmations in ways that are helpful. But if you keep repeating something, if you whether that's a phrase, whether it's a behavior, whether it's a habit, repetition is absolutely a way to change your beliefs. So if there is a belief that you want to start start, phrasing it in a way that feels good and start saying it to yourself every morning. And I guarantee you, after about a month or so, you're going to notice, maybe even less than a month, you're going to notice some real changes. So the third way that we assimilate beliefs is by joining a social circle. And this is why, you guys, this is why it's so important that when I run my 8-week course, the Repatterning Project, I always have a private Facebook group for people to be able to talk with one another and hit it off and discuss with one another, because it wouldn't be the same container if I just was like, emailing like a Zoom link to everyone so they could watch me talk at them for a while. Like, it's the difference between, you guys, if you're just following my YouTube channel versus actually joining a group where everyone is looking to work on themselves and to engage in their personal growth and self-improvement. That's the difference. You're not doing it alone anymore. You're actually surrounding yourself with people who have the beliefs that you want. And I do this for myself all the time. I do this when I'm like, if I'm like, where could I be happier? Where could I be more fulfilled? And where do I see that? What are communities where I see that happening? Can I join those? How can I get in on those? I want to start looking, I want my life to start looking like that too. When I was living in New York and hanging out in the rock scene, I shouldn't be surprised that, that I felt really limited by so much of, no, I didn't feel limited, actually. Let me choose my words deliberately here. I actually didn't feel limited at all, because I just thought that it was normal. But there were so many people in that scene who were acting out of really toxic patterning, because again, look at, I was like hanging out with all these really tough rockers, who who were, writing songs about, if you look at like repetition, right? Look at the things that they were repeating to themselves, for as much love as I had for some of the bands that I worked with back in the day. Like, if you get up on stage and everything that you're singing is like, I'm a bad motherfucker, I don't want to be loved, then that's again, repetition. That's going to instill itself in you. So I was hanging out with all these really tough people who weren't bringing sensitivity to their interactions, and I just kind of thought that was the way that the world was, and that I had to be tough too. And being tough meant enduring. It meant not practicing discernment, because no matter what happened, it was rock and roll. Fuck yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have fit in. So what I do now is I actually consciously look for communities that have the beliefs that I myself want to assimilate. So I look, like, if there's places around me with people who look happier and smarter and more successful than I am, I look for that now, and I'm like, all right, let me get in on what these people are doing, because I want that influence around me. So and speaking of which, if you want to join my free group, the Repatterning Parlor, there is a link in the description box to where you can go ahead and join that. Just answer the 3 questions for entry, but we'd love to have you there. So that's a great step. If you're already looking to improve your beliefs, you can go ahead and join that, and that will be step 1. Will be getting yourself a new social circle. And finally, hypnosis or trance work, or I'm going to put under here guided meditation as well, because as I said, self-hypnosis and meditation are in many ways very similar, at least like journey work, at least that kind of thing where you're taking yourself on that journey to go inward and reprogram your own beliefs. It really helps to be able to have a facilitator if you aren't used to doing this. And once you get used to it and you start to understand the mechanics of how your beliefs work, you can absolutely do it for yourself as well. I still use facilitators. I still use coaches, you guys. I work with myself to the best of my ability, and then I'll go to my facilitator and I'll be like, all right, here's the work that I did so far, but anything left that I missed, I need you to go in there and pop the hood and look for me and see if, check up on my work, make sure I did a good job. And sure enough, most of the time she'll say to me, she'll be like, oh wow, yeah, you moved about 70% of this already, but yeah, there's another 30% that you needed a different pair of eyes on. So let's get to that. So I work with modalities that were mostly born out of NLP, otherwise known as neuro-linguistic programming. Some of it falls under the headline, or under the heading rather, of NLP in general. Some of it is timeline therapy, which was developed kind of out of NLP, kind of like a little sub-branch of NLP. And I also work with Ericksonian hypnosis, in which I'm certified. Normally when I work with my clients, I haven't had an occasion yet where I've had to go and do like really deep trance hypnosis. Most of the work that I'm doing with them is through light trance and visualization. Their eyes might be closed, but they're very much present, and they're able to answer questions and tell me what they're seeing and visualizing. So So if that sounds like something that you want to do for yourself, as I said, definitely I recommend using a facilitator first before you start to, you don't want to like, you want to take your car into the shop and you want to kind of like understand how your car works. You want to learn from a mechanic before you like try to do it yourself. So absolutely, if that sounds like something that you're into, reach out to me. I work with groups, and I also work with individuals. So let me know if you feel that trance work or hypnosis is the way that you want to change your beliefs, and we can absolutely look into doing that together. So those are the 4 ways that our beliefs are formed, and now that you have a little bit more power over how you are able to bring conscious awareness to your belief formation, so you're able to better choose beliefs that are right for you in order to achieve your goals and to find that success and happiness and fulfillment that we are all looking for in our human experience. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you next time.